welcome to week 3 of my February hashtag challenge. In case you haven't noticed, or maybe you're listening to the podcast and this doesn't apply to you, this week's layout is a bit different. I'm trying something out. I thought of this idea midway through this challenge, so forgive me for not doing it for the rest of the challenge, and let me know if you like this layout better or the full screen camera. I honestly prefer this one when I'm watching trainings just because I can visually read through the training as well. So it's kind of helpful that way. But let me know in the DMs or in the comments what version you prefer. And I'm also thinking about re-recording this challenge in this format as a course that I'm either going to sell on my website or I'll probably upload it in the beginning at least to Skillshare so I can have more courses there because I already have one that's for kind of people just starting out as a VA through Upwork. So if you're interested in that, I don't know if you would, but I'll put the link to that in the description or in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast. It's quite a beginner level type of course, but I've had good feedback on it already. And if you join through the link that I give you, you get 2 free months that you can use for either. Well, you should use it to take my course, of course. But then you can use the rest of your 2 months for free to freshen up on some of your skills, maybe some of the skills that you're looking to offer as a virtual assistant, for example. But yeah, if you're interested, check out that link. And let's continue on with this hashtag challenge or else I'll ramble on forever as I usually do. So this week's topic is kind of figuring out, like last week we talked about why the smaller hashtags are better. And now we'll be talking about how do you choose those hashtags. Okay, we know we should use the smaller ones, but how do we find them? Especially the smaller ones. They aren't what you would immediately think. So they aren't hashtag love, like the example I give you. They may be hashtag I love Mondays working. Like this makes no sense at all, but that's an example of a hashtag with love. That's a nicher hashtag. But yeah, first of all, the first thing you should think of when you're creating your hashtag groups is you. Who are you? What are you offering? What are your services? What do you do? What are you trying to promote on your Instagram? So these hashtags, you can think of what do you do? What do you help your ideal client with? Things like that. I'll give you an example in just a bit. And then you shouldn't think just about yourself, of course. Most social media content should be created with your ideal client in mind, and that's where this comes in, your ideal client. So for this one, sorry, I'm looking to the notes on the side. You should think of what does your ideal client do? What are their hobbies or their job? What do they do on their day-to-day that they can be looking for hashtags on that? Or maybe they're already following those hashtags and they'll see your posts. So what do they like to do on a daily basis? What do they like? What do they enjoy? Like, what are their interests? Like, for example, maybe they like cats. I love cats and I always follow hashtags and accounts about cats. So if I'm your ideal client, hashtag everything with cats and I'll see it. And maybe also, where are they from? Maybe you're targeting more local accounts, and that way you should be thinking of including your client's location, or probably it's your location as well. So apart from using the location in a post, which also is a great idea, you should include some hashtags about the location if your service or product is location based. For example, mine isn't at all. I met in person like one client ever, or maybe no, I guess I met two, but one of them wasn't local, so yeah, my business isn't location based at all, but I know some people, even on the online world, that like to work with local businesses and local people. So that's okay, and you should include that in your ideal client hashtags. And something else that you should always include, because the hashtags, these two, are more general hashtags that you can use. Again, I recommend you go through these every once in a while. I do go through mine every month, but these ones can stay for a couple of posts. Now, don't exaggerate, don't use them all year. Like I said, go through them every once in a while and switch out some of them or all of them. That would be ideal. But I know that's time consuming, so yeah, that's also why I offer it as a service. As a part of my monthly packages, my monthly social media packages, every month you get three hashtag groups, three custom hashtag groups. So I go ahead and do that back end work every month so your hashtags can keep up to date. But enough self promo. So, as I was saying, there are these hashtags that can remain the same for some of your posts, but then there are hashtags that you should be using about the content in specific that you're sharing about. So, let's say you're sharing a quote post. You should have something that tells the users, the followers that you may get from the hashtags, that post is a quote post. So if someone is looking for a quote post, they can find yours. Or maybe it's a video or an infographic, or maybe you're giving out some tips or advice or whatever it is. These hashtags, that kind of the last 5 to 10 hashtags, should be specific about what you're. Oh. So, as I was saying, these hashtags can remain the same for some of your posts. Again, you should revise them, but I went through that already. But you should always have some hashtags that you change out between every post. Those will be more about the post. So you had some about you, some about your client. Now these ones will be about the exact, about the image, about the caption, about what you're conveying with that post. So maybe it's a quote post, so you should aim so your hashtags can put your post in front of people looking for quote posts. Or maybe you're sharing a video. You can hashtag it so people that are looking to find videos can find your posts. Or maybe it's, what else? It can be an infographic or a tips post. So you should want to put it in front of the people that are actively looking for those types of posts. So, that being said, let's go on to these. I have an example here. If you're listening to the podcast, you won't be able to see it. But I'll try to do my best to explain it. So you have kind of these. This is an example of a set of hashtags that I usually use. This is from a post from the beginning of February. And I used around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I used 10 hashtags for describing me and my business. So hashtag social media managers, hashtag content strategist, hashtag Instagram specialist, etc. And then I used another set of 10 to talk about my ideal client. I kind of divided it in thirds. So I have Etsy shops of Instagram because, like you've probably heard, I'd like to work with Etsy sellers. But I also would like to work with games. So I have hashtags like Instagram games or hashtags like makers and thinkers because I want to work with creative businesses and creative individuals. And then I have 10 more hashtags those are the ones I was talking about that should be changed between each of the posts. And this one, since it was an introductory post for this challenge, I have Instagram 101, Instagram tips and tricks, and then Insta advice, business help, things like that. And now now this is all great, knowing which segments, which topics you should include in your hashtags, because it's something like, if you never heard of a hashtag strategy, what goes behind it, you may just hashtag things you either see on the picture or things you talk about in the caption, but you don't have a guidance for it. So I find that if you have a guidance, if you have like a formula for your hashtags, that makes it so much easier to come up with, okay, so I don't have to come up with 30 hashtags. I just have to come up with 10 hashtags about myself and then break it up into smaller chunks, And then 10 hashtags about my ideal client, which hopefully you'll know who that is. And then those last 10, you can focus on your content that you're sharing. So those will be the ones that you're hashtagging what's in the image, what's in the caption, And now for how I usually find these hashtags, because like I talked about earlier in this video, it's easy to think about hashtag love, hashtag New York, or hashtag, I don't know, working. But it's a different thing to think about niche hashtags. So in this example I'm giving you, I started out with the hashtag, as you can see in this previous slide, I have hashtag virtual assistant life because apart from being a social media manager, I'm a virtual assistant as well. So I have virtual assistant life and virtual assistant for hire. So I have those two hashtags, but those are niche hashtags from the main hashtag, hashtag virtual assistant. So what I did was I thought about, I want my hashtags, the hashtags about me and my business, I want those to say that I'm a virtual assistant, so that someone, if they're looking for a virtual assistant, they can still find my post. So I went to Instagram and I may do a video later on stories, just sharing my screen and kind of guiding you on video how I actually go through and do this. But basically I typed in on the explore page hashtag virtual assistant, and then I saw it has 575k posts. Now, yeah, that's not that high. I mean, it's not a million, but it's too high for me, for what I want. So I then go ahead and the hashtags, the related hashtags below. When you see a hashtag, you get to follow them. And then below that, I'm explaining if you're listening to the podcast. Below that, you get a bar that says related hashtags. Below the hashtag you're looking and above the top and recent bar, okay? And there I found Virtual Assistant Live. And if you can see here, I also found Virtual Assistant for Hire. And then I clicked on Virtual Assistant Live, and that one only has 29.3k posts, which is awesome, which is exactly what I wanted, and I would never find, maybe I'd find this one, but there are some that you would probably never think of, or not immediately at least. For example, these small and mighty business. I love this hashtag, but I would never think of it on my own. So yeah, do some research, go into the hashtags that are more popular, and I sometimes get in the in the flow of this, and I can even go to hashtag love and then go down and down and down and find a niche hashtag from that. So yeah, do your research. As I said, this is a time consuming process, but it's worth it. And if you don't have the time for that, well, that's where I come in. You can just shoot me a DM or head to my website and shoot me an email, a DM, wherever you feel more comfortable with, and we'll chat about it. You don't have to make a commitment right away. But yeah, I'd love to hear about your business, your struggles, what you need help with, and I could even create a custom package for you if there's a need for that. Or I already have some set packages that you can check out on my website as well. So yeah, that was pretty much it for this week's challenge. I hope to see you back here next week. Just a reminder, it will be the live episode. So I'll be live on YouTube and IGTV. Hopefully that all works out. Fingers crossed. And yeah, then I'll share it later to the podcast. So if you're a podcast listener, just know that it will probably be up on Saturday, like just to be safe. But on Instagram and YouTube, it will be up at the normal hours that these are coming up on. It's 9:30 p.m. GMT time, and that's the equivalent of, let me do the math. It's 1:30 p.m. PST time and 4:30 p.m. EST time. So I'll have the times for it in the description as well, so you don't forget. And if you're following me on Instagram, you'll get reminders of that, and I'll probably share a countdown sticker on my stories. So yeah, I loved having you here this week. Don't forget to check out your email for the homework pages. Sorry, I'm tired of speaking. And yeah, I'll see you back here next week. Talk to you later. Bye.